Good day, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, you're listening to the Post Up Podcast. This is Cyrus Rogers.
This is Kaunda Chama saying good night.
You can't say good night at the beginning of the show. However, you can say good evening.
All right.
Okay. Well, look, we're going to get straight into it. The Post Up Podcast has been on hiatus for a little bit, but that's mainly because we've been waiting. We've been waiting for the All-Star announcement. We now know who the captains are. We know what's happening with the All-Star game. It is going down in Charlotte.
Definitely, Cyrus, and it's exciting. We hope to be there. Let's just put out.
It would be great if we could. As is with every best laid plan, you don't know what's happening until it actually happens. But the All-Star game itself is really going to be fantastic. What I like is that they've continued last year's theme of changing the game a little bit. So you've got the two captains, then they're going to pick their team, and all of that happens a little bit later. But right now, let's talk about the two guys who are the captains of the team. So we now have officially Team LeBron and Team Giannis.
Yes, and in the words of a wise young man named Cyrus Rogers, a king and a prince.
A king and a prince. Can you imagine if they try to call it Team James and Team Atentacumpo? I think they were like, Team Giannis, it's just easier, let's stick to that. I mean, how incredible is it that LeBron James changes conferences? He goes from the Eastern Conference to the Western Conference, and then picked as the number one vote getter in the NBA.
Look, Cyrus, to be honest, give Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, maybe those two. Yeah. LeBron still happens to be the face of the franchise. So him changing conferences, for me, I still expected him to get the highest votes. Because they're votes in general, regardless of which conference you're on. There's been a few surprises, but LeBron getting top votes, to me, wasn't such a big surprise. I was expecting maybe Steph would, but he didn't. But,
Look, I think that's the thing, in the sense that maybe Steph's star sort of waned a little bit with the injury. And LeBron is LeBron. I mean, nobody's going to go against that guy. So it was really great to see LeBron doing so well in the voting stakes. But then as soon as he shifts conferences, you suddenly have an opportunity for somebody else to become the rising star in a conference. And that's what Giannis has done, is that he said, you know what? I'm going to take this mantle. I am going to be the star player in the Eastern Conference. And look at this, a young African kid. I mean, he's Greek, Nigerian, but he's
Nigerian Greek.
Nigerian Greek. Okay, let's get it right. Let's get it right. But I think that's the main thing. You've got this guy who's showing that he's got the ability.
No, Cyrus, I think All-Star is a good omen for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Let me just take you back in time a little bit.
Yeah, let's go back in time,
Back in time, right? 3 seasons ago.
Yeah.
Just after the All-Star break, what does Jason Kidd say?
He says, hey, I'm still working in the Milwaukee Bucks.
No.
I love life.
He says, Giannis Antetokounmpo, I'm going to make you the leader of the Milwaukee Bucks. You remember it happened?
Yeah, I do.
Just after the All-Star break.
Yeah.
And ever since then, he's been shining.
Yeah.
He becomes an All-Star. Later, in that season, the next season he becomes an All-Star for the first time. The season after that, he becomes an All-Star again. The third appearance at the All-Star game, he's now going to be a captain.
It's incredible, his rise.
All-Star is a good omen for Giannis Antetokounmpo, but I'm glad he's a young African player. He's just heading into his mid-20s, and he's already a captain.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought that? And I think this is the other thing. They talk about the LeBron void. This huge gap that LeBron leaves behind him in the Eastern Conference. But when you look at all of the other players that could have actually gotten that mantle, Giannis was that guy. I mean, what's incredible about it is that when you think about how the votes are broken down between your front court and your back court players, Giannis still outshone so many players who could even have taken that mantle. Kyrie Irving is still in the Eastern Conference, and Giannis got more votes than him. It says a lot about this young man.
I think also Kyrie Irving being injured most of last season gave other players to shine. And Giannis took every opportunity to show people like he's all-star worthy. He's even captain worthy. He's just leadership worthy at the Milwaukee Bucks. So he had a lot to prove, and he proved it. He proved us all right. You and I, we sang this young man's praises all the time.
We definitely
and I think he was like, I listened to Post Up. I'm not going to let my two guys down. I'm definitely definitely going to show them that I am captain worthy, and here we are today.
That's exactly it. It must be the post-up thing. We always talk about the Africa game being the star maker and how it happens to be that kind of platform that gives people the rise that they need in order to be, take the next step. And I mean, he was here at the very first Africa game.
Yep.
A fresh-faced pup is what he looked like. And now he's just doing his thing. And doing it so well. So I think what's really great about what you see in terms of all of the players that are in the All-Star game is that you've got a lot of guys trying their absolute best to be All-Stars. You look at guys like Bradley Beal playing out of his socks, but unfortunately his team's not doing so well.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
And then guys like D'Angelo Russell, these guys have been playing very well, but they just couldn't make it to that next level. Here's Giannis, young guy, looking to really become not just the leader of his franchise, but also the star player in the Eastern Conference, and then he gets that captaincy role. I mean, that's incredible. And he didn't go out on a campaign about it.
No.
Like Joel Embiid might have been like, yo, I'm trying to get with this captaincy thing, give me some votes. Giannis just did all of his talking on the court.
I think, Cyrus, with Giannis, there's also consistency.
Yeah.
He always delivers.
Yeah.
Giannis, he's found that niche. He's a point forward, if you will, and he's a menace in the paint. He could use a better 3-point shot, but he doesn't need it at the moment.
He's starting to knock them down.
But he's knocking a few down with confidence. His mid-range is not bad. When he's driving to the hoop, you might as well just step away from that Euro step. No pun intended. And I think people are just recognizing the star that he is. And I think I'm gonna put it out there.
Put it out there.
Future Hall of Famer, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I mean, he's 20-something, so future with a capital F. In fact, all caps.
Cyrus, we will be recording this show 20 years from now.
Yes.
We'll be gray and old. And I'll be like,
so grayer and older.
I told you, Cyrus.
Look, if you look at his trajectory, why not? I mean, this is the thing. 3 All-Star selections, now as an All-Star captain. There are Hall of Famers who don't necessarily have those credentials.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting to see exactly where he's going, and I think he can only get better. Let's look a little bit at some of the other players who made the teams, and I think that's something that when the selections happen. So we've got our starters at the moment. Run us through who's sort of been picked from the Eastern Conference.
From the Eastern Conference. So someone we were not surprised by, Cyrus, Kyrie Irving.
Yeah,
Kyrie Irving. He's a star. He's already an all-star. He's the leader at the Boston Celtics. He is doing everything you need him to do apart from being a power forward, a small forward, and a center. I think he can play positions 1 and 2 very comfortably. And when it comes to point guards,
one of the best. The handles
that's been there. I think if you were to ask me top point guards right now, Steph definitely followed by Kyrie Irving. Speaking of point guards, Charlotte's very own
Kemba Walker. He was also picked as a starter. You know what was interesting, just to go back on Kyrie.
Okay.
Kyrie was the highest, the guard with the highest number of votes. He got more votes than Steph.
Look, he's been balling.
He really has.
And let me look at it from a fan's perspective. Cyrus, Steph.
We're talking fan votes.
Fan votes, From a fan perspective, Steph shoots from anywhere, and we're getting used to that.
Yeah.
We missed Kyrie for an entire season and comes back like he never left. I think that was the wow factor, and that's why I think he got so many votes, because people were like, what? Even after that operation and everything, he can still do it? So they're like, Kyrie for the win. So Kemba Walker was the second guard in the East. He's been balling.
He really has.
And I know that sounds very cliche, but Kemba Walker has been balling.
He has.
He's been scoring. He's been making the Charlotte Hornets look like a proper franchise.
Well, I mean, you are definitely saying some things I'm not necessarily agreeing with. Proper franchise is tough, but I think the thing is that within what seems to be the mess of the Charlotte Hornets, he's the main star.
It's not that bad of a mess. Cyrus,
okay, look, they're not in the Washington Wizards level of what is going on.
You know what I'm saying? They're not New York Knicks, Cleveland Cavaliers.
No, okay, fine. So we've got to temper this a little bit.
All right.
But if you're the Charlotte Hornets, you're not necessarily thinking, man, the playoffs are going to be so good this year.
No. Let's not get that twisted.
But Kemba has been that guy in the franchise.
Okay, let's narrow it down. In terms of if you're looking at current guards that are doing well, Steph, Kyrie, Kemba.
Yeah.
the likes of John Wall, obviously John Wall's out of commission, so, we can't count him. Kyle Lowry's doing well. But Kemba, especially
he's standing out
as being an underrated point guard.
Yeah.
Let's keep it real here. Being an underrated point guard in the league, he's actually proving to us that maybe he belongs in a bigger franchise even.
Yeah, and that seems to be the talk, right?
Let me not start putting it out there, but...
Put it out there. It's the podcast.
All right. Maybe next season we might see him in a bigger franchise. I think he deserves a bigger platform. Not respect to Michael Jordan, hoping to see him at All-Star.
But this is the thing about Kemba, is that this is also the hometown All-Star game. Yeah. So, having a hometowner on that court is going to be really, really great. So who else do we have in the Eastern Conference?
So going now to the front court, one guy we've been loving, he came from San Antonio, now he's playing up north in Toronto, Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah,
Kawhi's one of the best small forwards you can find in the league right now. Two-way player. He's been solid. He might actually make you think maybe Masai Ujiri was right with that move.
Well, I think the thing is, it doesn't look that there's any indication from what's happening with Kawhi Leonard that Masai Ujiri made the wrong move.
Yeah.
However, and I'm going to go on the record by saying this, it is a big call to put the whole house on Kawhi Leonard when he could just be like, well, I'm going to buy a property somewhere in the California area, and that might be an indication that I might not be staying in Toronto.
Cyrus, you never know. I might own property in Lagos.
Yeah,
but that doesn't say I'm moving to Nigeria next week.
Well,
maybe I'm just investing.
Maybe we're reading too much into what the guy does in his spare time, and we need to be looking at what he does on the court.
But then again, Cyrus, there was a time we were like, but LeBron is looking for schools and accommodation in Los Angeles.
I think the LeBron...
And here we are.
Yeah, well, sometimes the smoke and the fire are connected, and we shouldn't just be saying, that's just smoke. We don't know if there's any flames attached. But I think the thing is, Kawhi's selection really has come down to, it's been an indication of just how well he's played this season. And he's been phenomenal. I think what I love about Kawhi is effort. Fine, he set out quite a few games in terms of getting the rest, because we forget actually that he didn't just sit out the season at the Spurs because he didn't feel like it. He's been nursing an injury, and he's been trying to work through that. So, the Raptors have been using him fairly well, and they've done well when he hasn't been around. But when he has been there, they've just looked spectacular. There have been some question marks about whether or not he's clutch, though.
Listen, this is a clutch player. I think, let's save this for another podcast, but let me go on the record and say, Kawhi is clutch. I know you're probably referring to when James Harden somehow pulled out some defense and shut him down on the last play
against the Rockets.
But look, any player, including King James, you could put together a highlight reel that shows that
his last second misses.
Yeah, you could do the same for Steph. You could do the same for KD. You could do the same thing for Jordan, although I'm not sure that's true.
Yeah, look, I just think though that sometimes that might be something that weighs against him going forward. But in terms of him being an all-star, it's an automatic selection, one that we really love. So the final one, making up the guys in the East.
Love this dude.
Yeah.
He might even troll me after this. That's why I love this guy.
I hope so.
Joel Embiid. I was so happy. Second appearance, Cyrus.
Yeah.
He appeared after campaigning himself into last season's All-Star.
His campaign started the season before that, and he just missed out. And now his campaigning was done on the floor, where he's been healthy, he's been playing well, he's Joel Embiiding, just dominating.
Sneaker deal with Under Armour.
I was talking about this yesterday. That sneaker deal is fantastic, and I didn't even realize that he owns the trademark to the process. So the process is happening.
Cyrus, he was at the Africa game last year. He went to Basketball Without Borders Africa camp, and he was a camper before, but he was at the camp as a mentor this time. And I asked him, "What is the secret to your success, Joe?" He told me one simple statement. Because if you were to tell any of these campers what's the secret to your success, he said, trust the process. Obviously, he was joking and he laughed. But I'm beginning to think trust the process is a thing.
It is a thing. It is a thing. It's almost like the abracadabra of what you need to do.
Absolutely.
But it's about putting your head down, putting in the work, right? Those are really the two things.
Yep.
So whatever comes up and you get you get knocked back, you don't let that affect you. And I think that's what Joel Embiid embodies.
Cyrus, just fast, real quick. He came into the league with an injury. He had to sit out a long time before he even made his debut for the 76ers. He has come and shown that he's got all-star potential. He's got another future Hall of Famer potential.
Yeah.
He can own that paint. He can shoot from 3-point range. He's got a Euro.
He's the total package.
He can dominate other centers, and I think I'm not surprised he's making his second appearance, and that's back to back. And wishing him luck, he might finally get to date Rihanna.
Well, you never know. You never know. He said he's moved on. Rihanna has moved on. So let's see what happens in the future. Let's go to the Western Conference now. Woo. I mean, we're looking at a really, really good selection of players here. Mm-hmm. Just remember, and for all of you who are listening at home, this isn't how the game's going to be played. Yeah. This pool of players from either conference will then be selected by the captains, and they'll do it sort of school ground style and say who they want in their teams. There's still more players to come, but who do we have leading the guards in the West?
Just sidebar, I'm glad you said that, Cyrus. I've noticed on social media for some of our followers on the Post Up podcast, once we put these graphics up, they seem to think these are the final teams.
No,
I'm glad you're clarifying it, because I think some people don't know yet that just like last season, the whole format has changed going forward.
Yeah.
So in the West, of course, King James, 15th appearance. Why are we not surprised? Because he's King James.
He is King James. I have had my issues with King James in the past. Not to say that the guy can't play, but man, all of the love he gets, geesh, it is a lot. But
there's never too much love, Cyrus. There's never too much love.
That sounds like a 90s R&B song waiting to be written.
Absolutely.
Anyways, but 15th selection is really just incredible. He would be a perennial captain regardless of however old he is. Yeah. He could be there, look, the Moses like gray beard and holding some stone tablets, and they'd probably still select him as a captain in the All-Star game. But I think that LeBron is just that kind of guy who he brings the fun out. Mm-hmm. He has fun while he's doing these things.
Absolutely.
And if I remember correctly, it was in the All-Star game in New Orleans where the genesis of The Shop came on. They filmed the first episode of The Shop.
Yeah.
So let's see what he can do in Charlotte. It could be a couple more things. He just brings so many people together. So I love LeBron.
Yeah, and he's creative, and I think he's gonna add to the splendor that is the All-Star game.
Adding to the splendor.
You can tell I'm a fan.
This is a promo. So who else we got?
Cyrus, before I go on, I'm just gonna say the Western Conference selections, the first five. These are incredible, because I don't even know who to mention next. The names here, okay, I'm just going to say Steph Curry, six-time All-Star. Oh. What more can I say about this guy? He's changed the game.
He really has changed the game.
He's revolutionized the game. He's showing people that you can shoot threes from your car on the way to the arena.
You're probably shooting them from the crib as a baby.
Like, hey, hold my beer.
Or my bottle of milk.
Oh, your bottle, whatever you're holding. But Steph Curry, I mean, he has changed the game.
He really has.
He's such a pure shooter. Like I said, he can shoot from anywhere. But besides that, people forget that he's also got crazy handles.
Yeah.
This guy can dribble a ball like it hasn't been dribbled before. Yeah. And the fact is, he can pull up from anywhere with a high percentage of making it.
That's it. He's not just chucking up threes and bricking.
Because he's got a beautiful floater. If you've ever seen him going to the paint, that floater, it's like he's playing around. Yeah. And all of a sudden, he's racking up points. Another Golden State Warrior, Kevin Durant, 10th appearance. Kevin Durant, for me, the Durantula, the Slim Reaper.
All of the best nicknames in the NBA
money
right now.
Sniper. Cyrus, this man, to me, my love for LeBron.
Yeah.
It is only seconded by my love for Kevin Durant. Ooh. Back in the days, I used to have my doubts about this guy when he was at OKC. Why didn't he lead them to a finals and a championship?
So the stuff the haters been saying.
But I have changed. I have repented, Cyrus.
You have repented? You go to the Church of Durant?
I am there. I was baptized.
then walk in the glory of Kevin, my friend.
Kevin Durant is fantastic. I'm glad he was selected, first five. He's fantastic. Now, 7-time All-Star. Mm-hmm. He's going to be a 7-time All-Star.
Yeah.
James Harden.
True.
Current reigning MVP.
And looking Cyrus, like he's hot on his heels of a second one.
Yes, you, Cyrus, are putting it out there that he might even get his back-to-back MVP, just like Steph Curry was.
He's doing it.
Might not be unanimous, or might be. At the level he's playing.
I think there might be, at this point, there might be a couple of questions around whether or not he can do it, to go unanimous, that is. But I just think that at the form that he's showing and the way he's playing, the only thing that will stop him is himself, if he has some sort of injury and what have you. But James Harden is just incredible. the points he's scoring. He's bringing his teammates in. He's getting rebounds. He's just doing so much for the Rockets. And Chris Paul is on his way back.
Yeah.
So things might be on the way up at the Rockets. But man, what a selection!
A quick sidebar.
Yeah.
A quick sidebar.
Oh yeah.
The only other person who I could say is trying to get that MVP trophy right now is another MVP, a previous MVP, who is Russell Westbrook, because he's back to his triple-double rate. Cyrus, I make you Russell Westbrook now.
Yes.
Would you vote for James Harden?
If I'm Russell Westbrook and I got to vote for the MVP, look, if I'm Russell Westbrook, I'm going to vote Russell Westbrook the whole time. It doesn't matter. But hey, Russ, you just woke up. Voting Russ. Right?
But you voted Steph Curry before.
Yeah, but that was back when I was trash.
Okay, let's move on before you start trashing yourself on international wavelength.
The final starter from
our final starter. This guy has been impressive. After leaving Indiana and joining OKC, and the whole three-man thing didn't work with Carmelo Anthony, Paul George this season,
he's been beasting.
I says, I'm going to remind you why I was the face of Indiana, why I was the face of the Pacers. He's been beasting.
He really
And I love the fact that Russell Westbrook himself has seen that, no, I cannot be hogging the ball. I know I might get into trouble with some people by calling him a former ball hog. But if you've noticed, he is deferring to Paul George, because Paul George has shown him, like, hey, dude, remember I told you I'm staying in OKC? Let's work together and make this thing work. You, me, and Steven Adams, we got this.
We've got something special.
We've got something special. And he is putting up impressive numbers. I mean, he had another double-double, an impressive double-double this week. Paul George...
It's the dunk on Giannis that I think was the sort of exclamation point.
I didn't want to bring that up as a Giannis fan.
But we got to talk about it.
As a Giannis fan, I didn't want to bring that up.
This is the elephant in the room right now. I think the thing about Paul George is that he's showed that he is way recovered from that injury that he had.
Absolutely.
All of the doubts that had persisted about whether or not he can come back, nobody's even talking about that anymore. No. They're just loving watching Paul George play. The fans, the players, the media, all happy to have him as a starter, and I think he's a great starter to have. Okay, so our time is really diminishing here. I think what we've got to do is say, okay, so let's look at some of the important dates that are happening here around the All-Star.
Okay.
Right? Now, on Thursday, call it Friday morning, you have the head coaches picking the reserves. And there's 14 players in total that will be picked as reserves, and that will then complete the entire pool of players for the All-Star game. And then the players, the captains can then pick those players. So it's going to be interesting. So that's Thursday morning into Friday, or Thursday night into Friday morning here on the African continent. And then on the 7th of Feb in the US will be the morning of the 8th of Feb, the captains draft happens live. The captains get to pick their teams, and it'll be broadcast. It's going to be incredible. I want to ask you this, Kaunda, because there's 14 players that really have to be selected.
Yes, sir.
And fine, our starters are there. Let's look at it this way, because I think what I want to start with is, who do you think, if you were, let's say you're LeBron, you're the number one vote getter, which means you get the first pick of the starting players, right? Who do you select first?
Me, if I'm LeBron, watch my beard grow.
Okay.
I'm selecting Steph Curry.
So you select Steph Curry first. That's your first prerogative.
Because I'm telling you, the All-Star game is all about points.
Yeah.
Well, every game is about points, but you understand what I mean? It's all about getting them shots, impressing the fans. And we've all seen that Steph can also dunk when he wants to.
Yeah.
He can pull up from anywhere. So on points and entertainment value alone, I'm going straight to Steph.
Okay, so look, I'm going to play Giannis in this scenario, right?
Okay.
And I think, obviously, myself, being Giannis, and you, LeBron, are both forwards, which means I got to get a guard. If you've gone Steph, I got to go James Harden.
All right.
Somebody who can also, he's shooting off the dribble, his step back three is incredible. He's just one of those, it's so tough to stop. And, if you look at it in terms of a matchup, Harden versus Steph Curry, I mean, that's just fantastic right there.
That's beautiful.
Okay, so I got Harden. Who do you select next? I think this is where things get tricky.
Woo! Well, I'm going to go back to the Warriors.
Okay.
And I'm going to get me a Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
I'm going to go get me a Kevin Durant real quick.
Okay. I mean, look, KD is a hell of a selection. He's one of those guys who you just don't know what you're going to do to try to stop him.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but I like that. So I'm looking at it in terms of height. I think, okay, fine. You've got KD. He's a scorer. But I think I want to go with a big guy. I want to keep it African. I'm Giannis. I want to play with Joel Embiid. That is going to be my next selection. And I think being Giannis in this team, what I want to do is say, Joel Embiid, go out and dominate in the paint. Mm-hmm. Because, you might be matched up against a KD. He can shoot over you, but he's not going to dominate you. So grab those boards, make sure that he works hard. Your next pick, LeBron.
I'd say I'm adding some dancing, and I'm going back to my old buddy. We played together at the Cavs. It was beautiful. How you doing, Kyrie?
Ooh.
I got two major point guards on my side here.
Yeah,
Steph.
yeah.
Now I'm adding you. I think we're going to be doing some dancing in that paint, and we're going to show the likes of Joel Embiid and Giannis Antetokounmpo what time it is in this All-Star game.
Okay, I love those selections. I think that those two guards are incredible. I think I'm going to change things up a little bit here, LeBron, me as Giannis, and I'm going to say, fine, I see those guards of yours. I'm not even going to select a guard next.
You don't have a guard left. Oh, yeah, we do.
But I'm saying, I want Kawhi Leonard.
Woo! Defense.
Now, I've got a defensive team. We'll just play, me as the point forward. And now we've got Kawhi, we've got Joel, we've got me. What are you going to do next?
What are we going to do next? I'm going to try and repeat history. So I'm going to get Paul George to dunk on Giannis again.
Paul George.
I'm going to get Paul George to dunk on Giannis again. So here's me. This is my front court. I got KD on the left.
Yeah.
I got Paul George on the right.
Yeah.
And I got LeBron in the middle. And I got Steph and Kyrie.
That's a heck of a team. Obviously that then leaves me with Kemba Walker. Not to say he's the last man standing. Okay, so now I've got James Harden, I've got Kemba Walker, I've got Kawhi Leonard, I've got Joel Embiid, and I've got myself Giannis Antetokounmpo. This is going to be an all-star starting. Those starting lineups are just incredible, and they're going to look so good in those new Jordan jerseys.
Absolutely. All I can say is, if these were the actual selections, I see fireworks.
Oh, it's going to be fireworks.
The start of this game, I think everybody would be glued to that screen to see, first of all, who's going to sink the first bucket, who's going to block who, who's going to dunk on who. It would be just... Cyrus, I'm getting excited already. Have you booked our tickets?
No, not yet. But before we even do that, I want you to give me who you think 3 of the other players that could be in the game would be.
I love that question, Cyrus. I love that question because
just 3. There's another 14 players who could be
but if you gave me 3,
if
you gave me 3, first of all, a person who I was expecting to be in the first 5, but the votes have spoken, Anthony Davis of the New Orleans Pelicans.
Oh,
he would be my first selection.
Good selection.
If I was a coach and they said, select, I'll definitely select.
Yeah, I'd go with AD as well.
He's just doing the best, doing the most at the Pelicans, and he's exciting to watch.
Yeah.
You watched him in New Orleans. He was the hometown boy.
He's a great.
Wasn't he MVP of the All-Star game?
He was incredible, and I think that's what's great about AD is that you always know you're going to get class with him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think the next selection for me has to be another big, and that's Nikola Jokic.
Oh, yes.
I think Jokic is definitely one of those who's going to be in the All-Star game. I think coaches love him. The other players enjoy playing with him. He's the kind of guy who brings out the best in his teammates, and he's fun. Mm-hmm. He's really fun. So I think Nikola Jokic is going to be one. Who else you got?
I got Washington Wizards shooting guard Bradley Beal.
Bradley Beal, you think he's going to get a selection? I like that.
I hope he gets a selection because he's been doing the most. And I think even in the absence of John Wall, who is the leader of that squad, he's showing that he can step up and still hold that backcourt down. And he's entertaining to watch. If you watch him in an All-Star game, he's loose, he has fun, and he's there for entertainment value, 110%.
Yeah, I like that. I think I'm going to go a little bit away from agreeing with you the whole time.
Okay.
And this kid has been doing it and doing it and doing it. I didn't think he deserved to be a starter when I was seeing the votes come up, but Luka Doncic, I think, has got to be an all-star. Oh. When you look at the performances he's been putting up, he is ludicrous.
Yep.
He is ludicrous. And
2 triple-doubles.
As a teenager, the first teenager in NBA history to get a 30-point triple-double.
Wow.
No LeBrons have done that. No Michael Jordans have done that.
Wow.
No one has done this before. He's the first teenager to get his 2 triple-doubles of his career so quickly together. He's just incredible. So I think I'd go with Doncic. I think that the head coaches could say, you know what? You get a nod. You get a nod, kid.
Cyrus, is this my second pick?
It's your
third pick, my final one.
Yeah.
My final one, I'd love to come back to Africa.
Okay.
I'll go straight to Cameroon.
Yeah.
I get myself some spicy pea.
Spicy pea? Would you have that with jollof?
Straight up. That's the only way you can have spicy pea is with jollof fries.
Pascal
Siakam, Cyrus, this season has been boiling out of control.
Yeah, he has.
When the fan votes the first returns, he did make top 10.
Yeah.
Which shows that a lot of the fans are recognizing what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he's just that future star. I mean, he was here last season at the end of last season for the Basketball Without Borders Africa and the Africa game, and I told him that he's going to take over from Serge Ibaka.
Yeah, and he's doing it.
I told him the way you're playing, young man, you're going to play better than Serge Ibaka going forward, because Serge Ibaka is obviously getting older, and so are you, but you're much younger than he is. I think you're going to take over, and you've seen what he's doing. He's got that Africa game blessing. He's just going from strength to strength. So if I was to pick, I would definitely go with Pascal Siakam of the Toronto Raptors.
I must admit that I can't diverge with you on that one. I'm going to go with a different pick, though.
All right.
One of my favorites, and I've liked this guy for a long time. I'm so happy that he's healthy and he's playing well. I think Blake Griffin is going to be one of the others that the coaches select. He's just one of those, he's flown under the radar. The Detroit Pistons might not necessarily be flying, but he is back to playing such great basketball. He's got the ball in his hands. He's going by defenders. I love Blake Griffin.
But Sarah, is he exciting? To me, when you bring players to Doncic is exciting. Beal is exciting. Pascal Siakam is exciting. I mean, to me, Blake Griffin is slowly drifting into LaMarcus Aldridge territory.
Whoa, guy.
Listen.
Okay, I mean, I'm hearing you. I totally disagree with you.
I'm not saying he's there.
So wait. Let's just clarify. We're not saying LaMarcus Aldridge is bad.
No.
We're just saying LaMarcus Aldridge is very... If this was a sweet shop, he'd be the one that had no coloring and had no added sugar.
But he's still sweet.
But he's still sweet.
You understand what I'm saying? I think Blake Griffin is in danger of sliding into that area.
So. I think Blake Griffin still has the big dunks, still has the big time plays. Yeah, he might not necessarily be as explosive as he's been in the past, but when you put him out there with a lot of more stars, he will shine as bright as they do. And I think Blake Griffin is going to be selected. And I think that when you look at how well he's played, he's going to carry on being selected if he's fit. It's as simple as that.
Well, Cyrus, we might have to leave it there and see if any of our selections make it into the final.
I think they will. I think they will. So that's it for the Post Up Podcast this week. We will be back. We're going to give you all of the updates on All-Star and a few things. We just have to mention before we go that we're really sad to see some of these guys get injured. Victor Oladipo would have been one of our picks for All-Star. And I think that he was on course for it.
Absolutely.
So it's sad to see him injured. And I think that there might be a couple more. There's always players who pick up injuries just before the All-Star break. So let's keep our fingers crossed that nobody gets too hurt and that we have a fun All-Star weekend. From me, Cyrus Rogers.
And from me, Kaunda Chama.
It has been real, and we'll be back.
Yeah, it's great to be back.
Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
We'll be back.
We'll be back. See ya.